In this series, we address frequent topics that most managers and business leaders struggle with. We offer new perspectives and tips to help you test alternative behaviors or identify more productive paths to tackle your challenges.
Hello, welcome to Conversations with Grooa. Today we are talking about improving strategic thinking. I'm Elena Di Girolamo and I'm here with Laura Lozza.
Hello, Elena. Hello, everybody else.
This time I will share two similar questions. The first from Vanessa. She is wondering what her boss means when she tells her that she is a fantastic achiever, but she still lacks strategic thinking. Also, we have Matt saying that he has developed a clear strategy for his project, so everyone should know why they need to do the things they are doing, yet several of his team members are still asking why, when he reminds them some important tasks on the list.
Well, yeah, the two questions might be related, but let's start with Vanessa. First of all, I think that what you just said was that Vanessa is wondering what her boss means. And this is actually the first clue. Instead of inquiring with her boss, she tries to find the answer in her head. One of the most important skills in developing the ability to be strategic is to be very curious and inquire a lot to better understand the context. What does her boss mean exactly? She sounds like she's looking for a quick fix, for a solution, and being a fantastic achiever, that's very natural. Of course, that's what she's good at. But she's told that she needs strategic thinking, so she seems to think that there must be an instruction manual somewhere so that she can just apply a couple of tricks, and it is not as simple as that. Actually, developing strategic thinking skills is not a quick fix. There is no fixed manual with instructions, and asking her boss could give her some initial clues, some initial examples, some initial help. Let me just make some hypothesis. Maybe let's assume that Vanessa jumps on any request by the boss and says to deliver no matter what, and maybe later complains that her team was overwhelmed by too many requests. And so maybe the question by the boss could be, why didn't you think up front? Why didn't you challenge me before? Why didn't we talk together about resources and expectations? Taking the big picture, is this really useful for the business? That could be something that maybe the boss could say. Maybe that's the case. That's what the boss has observed, and this could be potentially a signal that Vanessa is after proving that she can do it, or pleasing the boss, making sure that he feels that he can trust her. Honorable things, nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, the more you are self-focused, the less strategic you tend to be, because you might not get out of your head and think about, as I said, the big picture. Now Vanessa has been successful, so clearly she's intuitively, instinctively, or by knowledge and experience choosing some key things to work on that are useful for the business. So maybe the boss actually wants something else. So maybe by asking, she might find out that one thing that he could possibly notice is that maybe Vanessa is abstaining from participating into discussions that are outside of her area of responsibility, and that is typically what someone who's focused on executing and achieving can risk to do too often. After all, in certain senior positions, you need to go beyond your specific responsibilities and participate into the health of the whole system. Or maybe Vanessa does not bring her own observations and suggestions about how to bring value to the business on different types of occasions. Or maybe the boss has noticed that Vanessa may just give assigned tasks to her team without reminding them of the big pictures. There may be a lot of clues that can help. And once she understands a little bit better what it is that is especially noticed when her boss, and maybe others, make comments about her poor strategic thinking or insufficient strategic thinking, then it is possible to design a tailored program to address those critical capabilities, strategic capabilities that contribute to thinking strategically more often and more naturally. An executive coach can always be very helpful to have those discussions, because there is, as I said, no universal formula. But let's say there are a couple of things then are actually quite useful. And let me mention 5 capabilities that I think are worthwhile looking into when you want to develop strategic thinking. The first one is certainly to improve awareness, understanding how she, Vanessa, anyone reacts, what impacts she has on others. Becoming more aware, that is an important thing, an important step to help her realize when she might be a little bit too much self-focused. Linked to this, there is also an area of emotional management where maybe those pleasing, proving aspects come up instinctively. The fear of not doing enough. That those areas need to be explored so that one can channel the feelings into a direction that is more intentional and more focused on the total picture rather than self-focused. There is also something, the third area is about learning to develop more and more the curiosity, asking rather than wondering. They've asked me to do this, I wonder what is the solution. Ask, inquire, becoming more inquisitive, challenging assumptions, looking for insights also in new areas. That is a skill that can be cultivated, that can bring a lot of richness to the way you look at things, not just specifically at the short-term results that you have to deliver. The third set of capabilities is engaging others in co-creating a shared vision. The importance of collecting all of the insights is that we can together make use of the insights and create co-create a vision, and that can help also drive a more inclusive decision process. And finally, continue to communicate the shared intention. This might be something important also for the next question about Matt not always telling people and not reminding people about the context. Continue to communicate, because we keep the strategy, the vision alive, and we might refresh it when it is needed.
Yes, I understand. So, of course, no standard recipe for strategic thinking. And especially in this case of Vanessa, inquiring is important. Getting out of her own head and understanding what a boss means, because she might have already some of the points that you mentioned. They are maybe already strengths of Vanessa and some others not. So what does the manager mean when he says you don't have enough strategic thinking? And you said that the case of Matt is slightly different. What about him?
Well, it seems like what Matt is saying is that he seems to be frustrated that people in his team keep asking why, when he thinks that he has already communicated well and exhaustively the strategy. And from that question, that is what I understand, and that is linked to the fifth set of capabilities that I was mentioning. keep communicating, keep reminding people, start to pretty much every meeting by, reminding everybody we're here because of this, this is the context. Because, gradually we might forget, we might just go after the actions, and then it is not strange that people ask why. It's not that there is a question about the validity of the strategy, but even if there was a question about the validity of the strategy, that would be something to welcome, because things evolve, the market changes, people and situations change. So why not? Why not reproposing the strategy, reminding everybody, and then staying open. On one side, you want to keep focus when something is decided, and you don't want to keep changing goals all of the time. You want to complete something, but you also want to stay aware of the fact that maybe sometimes you need to make some adjustments. So yes, absolutely, it's one of the competencies of strategic thinking to keep communicating. Strategy is not something like you make it once and you put it on the shelf, and then you can just say, if you're in doubt of what you're doing, just look at it. That's not how it works.
Yes, so some foods for thoughts. Thank you for the suggestions that you gave for the cases of Matt and Vanessa. And of course, what we have started with, when you wonder what people mean, the only solution is pose the question and hear the answer, listen to the answer.
Yes, that is a little pearl to remember. Sometimes we forget, all of us, but when we wonder what people mean, let's go and ask, and it can expand our thoughts. Thank you for the opportunity, Elena, and if there are any other interesting questions where you want some support, and remember that an executive coach can also help, get in contact with us at info@Grooa.com. Bye.
If you have a question or a topic of interest, please email Lara@Grooa.com. Thanks for listening.